Hello everyone, TMMgamer here, and today I have the pleasure of bringing you another one of my FIFA 13 tutorials. Now today I'm going to be focusing on power finishing. Now power finishing is any finish from roughly between 18 and 30 yards where you run up onto the ball, put your foot through it and hopefully put it into the top corner. And power finishing's really come into its own in FIFA 13 because in older FIFAs, finesse finishing really was the best way to score. But in this FIFA, in FIFA 13, finesse finishing's really been neutered. It's a lot less effective and a lot fewer players can actually pull it off successfully. However, if you've got a decent midfielder with a good shot on him, they really can score power finishes very, very regularly. So this tutorial is going to be covering all of the tips and tricks you need to start scoring goals from within that golden zone. So let's get right onto this tutorial. Now, the first thing you've got to be aware of when you're looking to get a shot off from between that 18 and 30 yard mark is how much space your player is in. Now, as you can see from the still image here, when Santi Cazorla picks up the ball, probably about 30 yards out, he's in plenty of space. You can see he's got at least a 5-meter box all around him with no opposition players in, and being in space is absolutely crucial because the main thing and the main technique for getting these really, really powerful, accurate shots on the way towards goal is lining up your player, and that takes a couple of seconds. You know, FIFA is just like in real life. It's always easier to put power into the ball when you stride onto it and hit it. That's why people who take penalties have a run-up. You know, very, very few people stand directly over the ball and try and scoop it out from under their feet. And it's just exactly the same in FIFA. If you want to hit the ball hard, you need to make sure that you're in space so you can run onto the ball. So that's always the first tip. Make sure whenever you're looking to line a shot up at target that you've got a nice minimum 5-meter box around your player to line up your shot. The next thing you need to make sure you do whenever you want to line one of these shots up in target is to begin to move your player towards the goal. Now, as you can see here, when Santi Cazorla picks the ball up, I immediately turn, knock the ball into space and begin to run forward. And this is really, really key because if you're travelling in the direction of the goal, i.e. you're heading towards the goal, it makes it so much easier to line your shot up. Because what I like to do is instead of using the right analog stick to aim where I want the ball to go, I use the direction of my player's run to make sure that it's going to be heading roughly towards the top corner, and that's exactly where you want to be aiming in these shots. You know, shots in the corners of the goal are always harder to save than shots down the middle. So you take this opportunity when you got plenty of space and plenty of time to begin to line your player up with the direction you want the ball to travel, and that's the next thing when lining your shot up. So as you can see, shooting from distance takes a lot more thought than just simply powering up as hard as you can and going on from here. You know, we've talked for pretty much 3 minutes and not even mentioned the power, but this is where we get onto the power. Now, as you can see, what I've done here is slowly faded the shot in from when I'm just running forward to the point where I've powered up. And what you're looking to do is begin the power up on your shot when the ball's about a meter in front of you. Now, this is important for the reasons that I explained earlier. In real life, it's much easier to put power on the ball where you can get a bit of a run up, plant your left foot right next to the ball and give your right foot a nice full swing through it. And this is what you're trying to replicate in FIFA because, like I was saying and like I've said in many, many videos already, the FIFA 13 ball mechanics are such that they're much more realistic. You know, you're not going to have many finishes where strikers dig the ball out from underneath their feet and get it with absolutely cannon-esque power. You know, you're going to have to be a little bit more thoughtful about how you control and maneuver the ball around. So what you're looking to do is you brought the ball down, you begin to maneuver it towards goal, lining your player up in the direction you want to shoot, and then when you've got it lined up and the ball's about a meter in front of you, that's when you begin to power up. Now, as you can see from this little slow-mo run through here, I've already powered up at this point, but it still takes Santi Cazorla about half a second to put foot to ball after I've powered up. And this is pretty much the perfect amount of time after. You want to power up fully and then give your player about half a second to a second to stride onto the ball to hit it. And now you're beginning to understand the absolute key importance of space. You know, you need that little bit of space to line this shot up, but once you've got it, it's an absolutely potent force. But let's talk a little bit about the power. Now, as you can see in the bottom right of the screen, I've only powered up this shot to just above halfway. Now, there's many reasons for this. If you power it up any more than this, you risk losing your control, because the great thing about this technique is you gain a lot of power by the way you line your player up. So because you've brought the ball down, you've begun to run towards goal, knocking it just far enough in front of you to enable you to stride onto the ball. Your shot already has a substantial amount of power. You don't need to go overboard, and especially if you're shooting with someone with reasonable shot power anyway. I mean, someone like Steven Gerrard is an absolute perfect distance shooter because he's got fantastic long range power and he can just step up and thunder the ball in with no effort whatsoever. And Santi Cazorla falls into that same bracket. So when you've got a player that you have confidence in and you know has the required power to put it in the top corner, don't go overboard. It's much better to slightly underhit it and get the ball to nestle in halfway up the goal than it is to go completely overboard and end up removing a spectator's head in row Z. You know, keep the power under control, and I think just above halfway is a good compromise because it's got plenty of power behind the shot, but at the same time you're not going so mad that you blast the ball over the bar. Now, just before the tutorial ends, I'm going to do one last recap of all the steps in slow motion. Now, as you can see, as Santi Cazorla receives the ball just about here, you can see that he's going to be in absolutely plenty of space. Now, when you're in space, you begin to turn towards goal, line your run up towards the part of the goal you want to aim, power up just over halfway, and if you do all of those things right, the ball will fly into the top corner. You know, this is a really good tip because it's very easily repeatable, and that's some of the best tips in the game, and in gaming in general are the easiest ones to replicate. You know, this tip will work 8 times out of 10, and I don't mean you're going to score 8 times out of 10, but what I do mean is you're going to get a shot that has a chance of going in 8 times out of 10, and you might only score 2 out of those 8 shots, but the other 6 will get saved and go for a corner or hit the bar and loop into the air and have a chance for you to knock the rebound in. So this is a really good technique, and I hope you guys give it a try. What I would recommend is just to go into a career mode game or just a kick-off game on a very low difficulty and practice lining your player up, because that's the most important thing, and that's the thing you really need to get down, because the power, once you've got a rhythm for the power, it comes naturally every time. It's just that getting the ball down, getting into a habit of knocking it ahead and timing when you shoot, because sometimes you run and you forget what to do and you're like, oh, am I going to shoot? Not sure. And by that time you've got on top of the ball again and your shot doesn't have any power. So go into a kickoff game, play it on amateur or semi-pro or something, and just practice shooting from 25, 30 yards. And when they start to fly in, begin to move the shots back, because the basics of this technique can work from all over the pitch. What I would recommend from slightly further out though is taking a little bit more time to line yourself up perfectly, because when you're slightly close to the goal you've got a bigger margin for error, but when you're 30, 35, perhaps even 40 yards out, that's when it becomes a lot trickier to line up and score. But as you can see from this tutorial, it's a really simple, very repeatable technique, and you can put the ball into the top corner multiple times. So guys, I really hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. I've absolutely loved making this actually. It's been very good to look through all of these goals and see them flying in from distance. And the goals I showed you today were just a snapshot. You know, you score so many goals from this distance, and it makes you, it makes you happy, and it gives you a lift. When you see one flying from 25 yards, it puts your opponent down, and you get up and you think, yeah, what a great goal, and you get back up for the game. So it's a great morale boosting tip as well. So guys, once again, I really hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. If you have, it would make a big difference to me in the channel if you could click like, because it means more people see the video, and if more people see it, more people can benefit. So once again guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a brilliant day.